You go back to FDR. When FDR found spies on the submarines off the coast of Florida, we brought them in and we shot them. That was the end of it.
Right. The German spies that were found off the coast of Long Island were captured eventually, and they were executed. That's right. And the Rosenbergs were executed during the presidency of Harry Truman, who had the cojones to drop 2 nuclear weapons on Japan to end the war in order to save the lives of 1 million American soldiers. He did a calculation because he knew what happened on Okinawa, Truman, how many men were lost taking Okinawa. And they figured out, the generals, that if they were to take the homelands, the Japanese homeland would have been defended to the last man, woman, and child. That's a fact. And he decided that it's not worth losing 1 million American servicemen, and that's why he nuked them.
Dr. Savage, we had men running the country then.
Well, right now we have men running from the country.
Girly men, whatever they are.
Oh, then we had then we had men running the country. Now we have men running from the country. Except, listen, that's why I use that French phrase, not to be an elitist. It's to tell you they're running from the country, but the statement was n'importe où dehors du monde. They're running from the country, but where are they running to? There's nowhere to go. Anywhere out of this world, there's nowhere to go. Where are we going from America? This is our Alamo. We have to fight these rats.
Right, you're right.
We have to fight the rats. America is now the Alamo. The rats are overrunning the Alamo. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide. Just live with the sickness. Feel sick every.
There you go. I'm on a fight, Dr. Savage. Thank you.
All right, I'm sending you my novel. That's how I fight every day, verbally and through the written word. When I saw Boehner get up today and have the audacity to say that the Clintons are good people, I said, this is the end of the road. The gloves are off on Boehner. He's no longer going to be called Clink. Each day I'm going to try and invent a new insult. Today I say it makes you wonder, was Boehner left in a basket outside the 2 a.m. club? That I wrote on the fly. Okay, stay on the line, my friends. How'd you find that? Who found it? Robert, you did? You Googled it? You could find that on Google? Baudelaire wrote that. I love Baudelaire. I love Baudelaire. And I'm not talking about a bread bakery either. Baudelaire. I read him in college. I thought I was so smart. It's funny how when you go to college and you suddenly open your mind up from a poor background and a bad education, you suddenly think you're a genius because you read a philosophy. It takes you years to get over what you learn in college. That's what it comes down to. But some of it sticks with you, you know. KSFO, Bill, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Oh, I wanted to quote that poem by Charles Baudelaire. Anywhere out.
You knew it was. Well, then give us the whole. Do you know the whole poem?
In English.
What is it? Let's hear it in English.
The life is a hospital where every patient is possessed with the desire to change beds.
Did he really write that, or you made that up?
No.
Did he? Wait, he wrote what? Life is a hospital where every patient desires to change beds?
It's possessed. Yes.
Didn't you love the French existential writers? I mean, come on. They were now, of course, Baudelaire preceded the existentialists, but how did he come up with that?
Fantastic. Oh, it goes on and on. It's quite lengthy.
Oh, let's hear more of it. I need some entertainment.
All right. One man would like to suffer in front of the stove, and another believes that he would recover his health beside the window. It always seems to me that I should feel well in the place where I am not, and this question of removal is one which I discuss incessantly with my soul. Tell me, my soul, poor chilled soul, what do you think of going to live in Lisbon? It must be warm there, and there you would invigorate yourself like a lizard. This city is on the seashore. They say it is built of marble, and that the people there have such hatred of vegetation that they uproot all the trees. There you have a landscape that corresponds to your taste, a landscape made of light and mineral and liquid to reflect them. My soul does not reply. Since you are so fond of stillness coupled with the show of movement, would you like to settle in Holland? That be it?
You know, are you serious? Is this Baudelaire? What's the name of the piece?
It's anywhere out of the world.
N'importe où dehors du monde.
Exactly.
That's what I'm starting to feel. Now, look, you got to do me a favor. Bill, this is so wonderful for me. You made my week. Send a link to this to my producer who's holding on the line, Jim, and he's going to send it to me. I'll tell you why. You just taught me something. I remember reading one of my favorite authors was Henry Miller. I don't know if you know Henry Miller, right?
From you, I know him.
All right. Well, Henry Miller wrote that when he would sit with his writer friends in Carmel on the beach, they would sit and stare at the sea and talk about how great their life was going to be when they all went down to Mexico together. And they would plan the trip to Mexico. For months they'd plan it. And they'd sit and reflect on how great it was going to be. Then when they get to Mexico and settle in, they'd sit on the beaches in Mexico and talk about how great Carmel was and how they couldn't wait to get back there. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier when I said I was on the West Coast. I couldn't stand being in San Francisco another second. I came to the East Coast. Now I'm packing to go back to the West Coast because I'm hoping it feels better than it does on the East Coast. It's the human condition, is it not?
The grass is always greener, whatever.
Well, yeah, or something like that anyway. You are really great, Bill. Did you just Google that to get that for me?
I can do that.
No, did you? How'd you find that piece so quickly with all of that in it?
I did look it up.
Yeah, but what did you search? You know, it doesn't mean that you're not, hold it. You didn't cheat. Knowing how to search is actually a very high form of intelligence. I learned that in college. You have to know what you're looking for. What were the search words you used?
You gave me the
Oh, so you put in the French, n'importe où.
No, I put in the English.
You put in doesn't matter anywhere out of this world.
It came up right.
Unbelievable how advanced our search engines are today, Bill. Uh-oh, I think I just lost the system. Something just kicked out. Lights just died. Are we still connected? Okay. Bill, stay in the line. I'm sending you a free copy of Countdown to Mecca. I'm sitting here waiting for Comcast to put me out of business. I'll be right back. I hope I'm here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUI-COIN. N'importe où hors du monde. Cette vie est un hôpital où chaque malade est possédé des désirs d'échanger des lits. I'm doing this to upset the Rush Limbaugh cartel, to give them something to write about tonight, to call up and talk about me. Say he's reading French, he must be a real commie. Charles Baudelaire wrote, one should always be drunk, that's all that matters. But with what? With wine, with poetry, or with virtue? As you choose, but get drunk. Now, how's that for a line? How is that for a line, the friends of the Savage Nation? Thank you, Craig S. One should always be drunk, wrote Baudelaire. That's all that matters. But with what? With wine, with poetry, or with virtue? As you choose, but get drunk. Meaning, right? Passion, isn't that what he means? That's beautiful. I love that. That I love. That I love. And when I come back, there's more. Life is a hospital where every patient is possessed with the desire to change beds. One man would like to suffer in front of the stove, and another believes that he would recover his health beside the window. It always seems to me that I should feel well in the place where I am not. And this question of removal is one which I discuss incessantly with my soul. Does that sound like you? Well, you're not alone. What with the incredible shrinking man in the White House?
Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
We move forward when women who came to this country in search of a better life can earn a path to citizenship. Right now, they are being forced to work outside the formal economy, often being subjected to discrimination and even worse.
What a good
You know,
one.
our mothers and sisters
You know.
and daughters are on the front lines of all these battles,
Oh,
but
yeah.
these are not just women's fights. These have to be America's fights and the world's fights.
Right, we're
We have
mean.
to take them on, we have to win them together,
Right.
and we have to have leaders who recognize that the time has come.
Time has come to screw America finally. That would be no better than the Clintons. Selling off uranium to Russia is only the beginning, and that's only what we know of so far. Which is what led me to, I drifted actually, my mind drifted into a French poem I learned in college. And the words were simple, N'importe Deus du monde, and I asked listeners to call if they knew where it came from, and someone said it's from Charles Baudelaire. Anywhere out of the world. He cracked me up because I never heard it in English. I'll read you one line because we have a gentleman holding from Montreal who's going to read the poem in French. And he wrote, "This life is a hospital where every patient is possessed with the desire to change beds. One man would like to suffer in front of the stove, and another believes that he would recover his health beside the window. It always seems to me that I should feel well in the place where I am not. And this question of removal is one which I discuss incessantly with my soul." I loved reading Baudelaire in college. Loved him. And I never forgot some of it. It just shows you what a liberal education can do for you. Now, the word liberal and liberal education are two different things, by the way. That's something that the average Limbaugh cartel member would not understand. Since Limbaugh is himself a high school dropout, he doesn't understand that a liberal education can be quite enlightening, and it does not necessarily turn you into a liberal, per se, politically. But that's something that would require reading and thought. And so, therefore, we now turn to Mordechai in Montreal. Mordechai, welcome to the Savage Nation. I understand you're listening online.
That is correct. Yes.
And you know you know Baudelaire in French?
Well, I am Anglophone. Do you know the concept Anglophone and Francophone up here in Canada?
Yes.
Anglophone means I am an English-born speaker, and I picked up French going to school.
Well, give us a little of Baudelaire in French. Let's hear how you sound.
Okay. N'importe où hors du monde, cette vie est un hôpital où chaque malade est possédé du désir de changer de lit. Celui-ci voudrait s'ouvrir en face de Poël, et celui-là croit qu'il guérirait à côté de la fenêtre. Il me semble que je serai toujours bien là où je ne suis pas.
That's a beautiful. You speak a beautiful. You're speaking, if I remember correctly, and if my ear doesn't fail me, that's almost perfect Parisian French.
Well, you have a good ear because even though most Quebecers here speak Joual, which is like Cockney English, I would compare it to.
Right, or like Yiddish. I get it.
Yeah, but my teachers, I'm in my 50s. They were Parisian. They came from France, and those.
I knew it. So they wore the berets. They smoked the Gauloisie. They drank red wine. That whole thing. They caroused all night, and they taught a few hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. So the typical Quebecer speaks different French than.
I studied French for 7 years in college, and I liked the language. It was not easy. I couldn't grasp Spanish. I studied it for many, many years. I didn't like Spanish as a language. I studied the literature. I just couldn't relate to the tilde. There's something about that in the tilde that I didn't. So I switched to French, and then I discovered French literature, and I really enjoyed the literature of France. My mind was open, especially when I'm talking about something like Charles Baudelaire. I don't even know if he's taught anymore. He's probably too macho for today's day.
Possibly, but it's a beautiful language and very literary, as you say. And
I remember studying the dialogues in those grammar books in French, and the ones that I remembered were the ones that might help me pick up girls when I was 18 or 19 and first going to France. So I remember there was you know how you learn dialogues, little ones like at the bicycle shop, in the mechanic, at the garage, in a supermarket, little stuff, right? So I see if I can remember this one. I can't remember. The funny thing is about a bicycle tire that blows out while you're bicycling. And the one line was, "It's a matter of a simple repair." How would you say that in French?
Un pneu crevé, flat tire?
No, how would you say it's a matter of a simple repair? If you go in a bike shop and it's only a tire you need, say it's a matter of a simple repair. How would you say that in French?
Ça ferait l'affaire, ou simple, réparation simple.
That's it, right, réparation simple. I studied that, I memorized it. So when I was 20 and I took my first trip to Europe, when I saw an attractive woman, I remembered that line and I went up to her and I said, "It's only a matter of a simple repair." And I got to tell you, they laughed. It was a funny line.
Okay, I have to tell you that...
do you get the joke or not?
Yeah, I do. I have to tell you, my name Mordechai has a French equivalent. It's Mardoché in French.
Oh, come on, it is not.
Yes, if you look at the Bible, because it's a biblical name from the book of Esther.
Well, I know the name Mordecai very well because of the great French-Canadian writer Mordecai Rickler.
Well, exactly. I'm very well known here in Canada. My first name, exactly.
Are you a relative